Hi guys, and welcome to this week's collective reading. Our first card is Mountain Lights with a message of light beings, portals, and subtle energies. And this card speaks of in-between places, and I love liminal spaces. I feel like I talk about them all the time, but Nath, who my business is named after, actually embodies this bridging portal energy. So that's why I go on and on about liminal spaces. So what this card specifically talks about in the book is how light beings can enter our world or our perception through these portals. It doesn't actually say anything about the imagery used and how that connects. Honestly, this deck is quite airy-fairy, which I love. But what I'm going to say next is more me reading into things. So mountains are very symbolic of this material realm, right? They are seen as unchanging. They don't move. They have a real sense of permanence and stability attached to them. Now that said, while being firmly linked to the earth, mountains reach great heights, right? The air is even less dense at the top of the mountain. And when we get less oxygen, our hearts have to work harder. Now, this process of climbing mountains, this is the struggles in life, right? But for each obstacle that we overcome, we get closer and closer and closer to the top, right? And this is seen as the liminal space, the portal space that this card talks on. But as we reach this apex in our journey, our heart will have to work harder, right? The heart being our emotional sphere. So our emotions will be tested. And it's very important to note, right, that like living in the mountains is considered to be very good for the heart. This pressure that's put on the cardiovascular system to work harder helps it to grow stronger. This is really how by the time you get to the top of the mountain, you can step through a portal where you can see your life differently, right? At this point, you can look behind you at everything you've been through to get to this place, but with fresh eyes that have a higher perspective. Now, this card particularly speaks of the flip side, but I feel like that part needed talking about first. So on the flip side, there are light beings that resonate at a higher frequency than us, and they wish to offer us a hand, right? They are stretching out their arm to help lift you up, right? But you have to be willing to accept that they are there for you to utilize their help, because you have free will and they will not overstep it. Any high frequency light being will never overstep your free will. But if you open yourself up to this idea and ask for their help, they are there and so willing. So this hard climb where our emotions or heart space is being forced to work in overtime, this hard climb can be made easier, but you have to ask for help. And this takes a lot of belief and surrender, but the help is there, right? So moving on to the next card, and I will butcher this word, but it says Antakaran. And this is why I filmed the shuffle, because this is summed up in the book for this card as bridge. So we have this idea coming up twice in a row now. This bridging aspect, this liminal space, this portal space, right? And we had the hexahedron or the cube come up in last week's reading. So it's just the video before this one if you didn't catch it and wanted to, right? But this builds off of the cube. You can see the cube here on the card. The hexahedron or the cube was actually card 18 last week, and this is card 19. And last week I did talk on needing to break out of the box or think outside of the box. There was something like that. And the imagery on that card really showed a portal space opening up on one of the faces of the cube, right? So this is the bridge. You see how this bridges us to the other sides of the cube? So this pathway, normally we would be stuck, but it bridges us to the other faces, right? So this is the bridge that will see us through it. This is the natural progression from the hexahedron. And here with the cube, this strong material earth energy being linked to portals and bridging to higher aspects, right? It bridges you to new planes. It's essentially this message here with the mountain lights, right? But obviously there's more insight attached to this symbol. So I'm going to read straight from the book. The Antakarana, I think I said it wrong, but I'm still saying it wrong, but I said it different before, didn't I? The Antakarana is an ancient healing and meditation symbol that has been used in Tibet and China for thousands of years. It is the part of spiritual anatomy that connects the physical brain and the higher self. It is said that the Antakarana has its own consciousness and that simply being in its presence will be beneficial for your chakras and your aura. Connecting with your higher self will offer insights into virtually any question or inquiry you may have. The Antakarana acts as a bridge or direct link to your intuitive nature, your inner being. And it says, meditate with this shape, relax deeply, and give attention to your breath. Sit quietly and open to intuition and insights. Let this time act to strengthen the bridge between thought and intuition. Realize the innate ability for growth and healing you already possess. Know that the answer always lies within. And then it says, you may wish to make a copy of this shape, right? You can just, I'm sure you can Google it if you want to print one out. You can screenshot and then blow up this section to have a picture of it. It says, make a copy of this shape and place it on your altar, by the computer, or even on the fridge with your kids' drawings. Whenever you notice it, acknowledge your connection to your higher self and the wisdom that is always available through that communication. And it does specifically say that the Antakarana is a holistic symbol that has no reversed aspect. So the fact that this came in reversed, to me, it just says that there is a resistance to truly connecting with our higher selves, right? Whether that's belief in if it's even real, or belief that you can do that, like that you have that power to connect with your higher self, or if it's that you're just afraid of the truth that will be revealed. I think exactly why the invitation is being resisted will vary amongst the collective, but the card itself being reversed has no negative energy attached to it, right? It's just this idea that within you, there might be a hesitation that exists. And this is just about pushing yourself to climb your own mountain, right? And your higher self is the light being that you are being called to accept that hand of help from, to help pull you up higher. And it's beautiful because that guidance always comes from within. Now, the Ten of Pentacles is representative of material completion. This is having everything you desire. Now it's reversed, so it is quite the opposite in its meaning, as it shows your material aspects of life receding in some way. But I'm going to go off the book's meaning only slightly, as I do feel like the core meaning is still there, but keeping these cards in mind, right? We've got our material world with the cube and the mountain and how rooted we are to it, right? Shown in this mountain and cube. But we're being asked to bridge away from that into our higher self. So for me, I see this reversal of the Ten of Pentacles, right? Which is so representative of having everything you want in the palm of your hands. Material things though, right? And we're releasing it. Because when we reverse it, everything is falling out of the hands. Because the weight of releasing, right? It's like carrying a heavy burden as you try to climb the mountain. If you're holding everything in your hands and you're resistant to letting go, it is going to weigh you down. This is taking the backpack off, and the climb suddenly becomes so much easier. But that requires trust, right? That release and surrender requires trust that whatever it is you're letting go of, that you won't be needing it further up the path, right? But holding on to it right now is making that climb a lot harder. I won't say impossible, because that's not really a word that exists. It exists, but I don't like to consider it. But it is making your climb a lot harder. And going back to the Ace of Wands, I say back because this was in last week's reading as well, right? Along with the cube, the hexahedron. And this is a call to action for a new path. Wands are the call to action. Aces, or the ones, are a new beginning. So a call to action for a new path. So as you release the material burdens, allow yourself to feel excitement for the new paths that open up before you. Wands do carry like a very fast, excited energy, right? So take action. Grab a hold of these opportunities and do something to claim them for yourself, right? Because wands always come with the risk of letting the fire burn out if you don't take advantage of the spark when it comes to you. So in saying this, I'm going to actually loop back to this first card, which had a summary attached to it. They call it an illumination in this deck. Each card in the deck has an illumination or a summary, but for this card it reads, light workers assist in keeping open the pathways for light beings to help heal this planet. Keep the light living inside of you alive. So don't let your fire go out. When you feel inspired, let that be a call to action. See your inspirations through. Allow yourself to be a light worker that grounds down these beautiful higher frequencies, right? Collectively, we are raising the frequency of Mother Gaia. Never underestimate your own power in being just one human being, right? We have so much power as humans, and the gift of complete sovereignty comes with that, right? So I can only suggest that you connect with your higher self right now. But I definitely do suggest that, because that is the message that's coming through at this time, to connect with our higher self. I hope that you have all enjoyed this week's message and that you are finding it helping you reach your highest path in some way. And I will be back soon for the next collective message. Bye, guys.